Hi, here's a writing workshop. We are back to writing true stories. So we started writing true stories at the beginning of the year, and then we did some other writing in the middle. We did some information writing where we wrote how-to stories and we wrote all about stories, and then we finished up our how to make the world a better place stories, and we did lots of different kinds of writing with that. And now we're back to true stories. So you may be thinking, what makes a true story? Well, a true story is a story about something that happened to you, or maybe a friend of you, a friend of yours, or maybe it happened to more than one person. It could have happened to a few people. And the important thing about true stories is that they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So we started out writing our true stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we added some snap words to help us start those parts of the story. So remember, we had in our room one day was a good one to start with for the beginning of the story. Then in the middle of the story, we wrote then, and then at the end, we used at last. So you're going to see up here, I have a true story. I've already done a little bit of the drawing about it, and I've already written down my one day part and my then. So now I'm ready to fill in my story. And I see that it's hard for you to see, so let me bring that in just a little bit. Still kind of hard to see. We'll do a close-up. Here, I tell you what, I can bring it closer. So this is my story that I started today. It goes one day. This is the view of our classroom. Notice the bookshelves, all the book bins underneath of here. These are the windows, and this was the open window, and right here was a bee. A bee. So one day a bee flew into the class, or I might say one day a bee flew into the room. So I got that part started out one day, so now I'm going to write the rest of the words that go with that picture. And there's my little bee up there. So I have one day. Oh, and I can use all of my snap word knowledge. The next word I want to write is How do I spell Did you say A? The letter A? Yes, that's right. The letter A spells the word So now I have one day B. Ooh, it's a little hard to write on my pocket chart because it moves. One day a bee flew. Let's see. Flew. And it's okay if you don't get that word spelled right. One day a bee flew into. Into. I know how to spell into. Into the. I'm going to hold that steady just a little bit there. The class. Because I want everybody to know that this story took place in our class. One day a bee flew into the class. Then, look at my next picture. This is the person who the bee landed on. And in our class, that was Augie. The bee landed on Augie. Then the bee landed on Augie and stung him. Oh my gosh. Next lesson, you're going to see what happens next. I have my picture of my person that got stung. Here's that person's sad face. Kind of not so much fun that time. But, so let's look at my story that now has all the words. One day a bee flew into the class. And notice I didn't have to say classroom. I just said class. So the next part I could think, then the bee stung Augie. Or I could say, then Augie got stung with a big exclamation point. And then the bee stung Augie and he got sad. So this is a true story. And then I'm going to finish up with the next part. Is going to be at last. So, boys and girls, I want you to get started on writing some of your true stories. It could be about anything. I wrote about the day that the bee flew into the classroom. We'll talk about what other things you might want to write about next lesson. Meanwhile, happy writing!